before we just to set the stage, obviously, Dr. Iman, I just mentioned very quickly now about the date, but yes, date is more than just a crop in our region. It really defines us. It's even mentioned in the Quran 20 times as the symbol of patience and generosity. And it's a symbol of our generosity as Arab world whenever we want to connect with the people we love around us. But behind all of these beautiful and very the traditional part and the heritage, there's a very gloomy story behind the palms, which is behind all of that, there's drilled wells, there's use of a lot of groundwater, rising salinity, and the soil, of course, is drying even faster each year. And in such very typical environmental conditions that are really tough in the regions, date palms rely heavily on the irrigation, typically, as I said, groundwater. And in one of the recent studies conducted in the GCC region, it showed that date palm production is one of the crops that consume the most water for irrigation. So that's quite alarming from environmental sustainability, and it also has an implication on depleting the aquifers and rising salinity. So again, the question I think we're all here that we want to understand and we want to address is how can this very critical crop survive, and how can we also grow it wisely without hurting the environment? And this is where Dr. Iman today comes to play to see how can we ensure enjoying this crop while being very cautious about the environment. So over to you, Dr. Iman.
First, I'd like to thank you for the chance to being here and to talk about one of the important crop in GCC countries, and also to present some intervention and some effort done by FAO with King Saudi Arabia to preserve date palm and to expand as well the crop production. Let's start with a short movie, and then we can go one by one to talk about the challenges to sustain this crop. As you know, this is a symbol of GCC countries, especially in Saudi Arabia. Date palm is one of the main crop and food in every time, everywhere, at morning, afternoon, and welcoming, even welcoming, they use this crop as one of the symbol of Saudi Arabia. So let's start with a small video and we can talk one by one.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So let's
تعتبر المياه في المملكة العربية السعودية من أهم العناصر الإنتاجية وأحد أهم محاور التطور الاقتصادي والاجتماعي، حيث تعد ندرة المياه من بين التحديات الرئيسية التي تواجه المملكة. ومن أجل الإسهام في رفع كفاءة استخدام مياه الري وتحسين إدارة الحقول، قامت المؤسسة العامة للري بتنفيذ العديد من المبادرات، ومنها إطلاق مشروع ترشيد استهلاك المياه ورفع كفاءة الري بالتعاون مع منظمة الأغذية والزراعة للأمم المتحدة الفاو.
في إطار سعي المؤسسة العامة للري لتأدية دورها في سبيل الحفاظ على الموارد المائية والاستدامة المائية للقطاع الزراعي في المملكة، تقوم المؤسسة بالتعاون مع منظمة الفاو بتنفيذ عدد من مشاريع الحقول الإرشادية في مختلف مناطق المملكة بهدف تقديم نماذج تطبيقية لاستخدام وسائل التقنية الحديثة في الري ونشر ممارسات الري الجيدة بين المزارعين.
يستهدف المشروع نشر الوعي بين مزارعي المملكة لتحسين أساليب وممارسات الري وتطبيق تقنيات مثبتة الكفاءة، وذلك من خلال برامج توعية لأصحاب المزارع والمهتمين بنظم الري الحديث، برامج تدريبية مجانية متخصصة لرفع مستوى العاملين بالري في المزارع، دعم فني عبر قنوات الاتصال مع خبراء المشروع، حقول إرشادية تابعة للمزارعين بالمناطق التالية:
المشروع بيستهدف تنفيذ عدد من الحقول الإرشادية بننفذها لدى مزارعين مؤثرين لهم دور قيادي في نشر تجارب الري الحديثة المطورة اللي بيتم تنفيذها عن طريق خبراء المشروع. الحقيقة بنستهدف إنه يتم استخدام تقنيات مرشدة تعظم العائد الاقتصادي. بنستهدف استخدام طرق نقل المعرفة من مزارع لمزارع وعن طريق مشاهدة النتائج والتعلم عن طريق التجربة في الحقول الفعلية اللي بيتم تنفيذها، وده بيبقى له مصداقية لدى المزارعين المجاورين للحقول اللي احنا بننفذ فيها.
منظمة الفاو جات وعملت مجهود كبير. أول شيء أنهم جابوا أجهزة هذه ركبوا عليها تايمر. التايمر هذا على أساس متى أنت تبغى تسقي أو تروي النخيل هذا مريحك، روح أنت بيتكم. هو محطوط له تايمر وهو يشتغل. يختلف عن الأول يعني. التقنية القديمة تسقي أقول لك من أول نخلة ويبغي لك تسقي الأخيرة يبونا براي. وين كم الماء اللي كيلفك؟ كم الاستهلاك من الكهرباء اللي تكلفك؟ هذا هدر، تضييع للماء. التقنية الجديدة يمكن ربع التكلفة، ما أقول لك نص التكلفة إلا ربع التكلفة.
عمل المشروع على دراسات بحثية على مستوى المزارع الصغيرة، حيث كان هناك العديد من الممارسات الخاطئة والمتمثلة في زيادة المياه والتي تسببت في هدر المحصول وانتشار الأمراض أو الآفات الزراعية، إضافة إلى الخسائر المادية، ما يؤثر سلباً على جودة المحصول أو البيئة. ولنتذكر دائماً أن تنميتنا للموارد المائية والمحافظة عليها تقود نحو قطاع مياه مستدام.
That's a very good overview of the work you're doing right now as FAO.
Yeah. So I love to start with this video because as we have challenges on the ground with farmers, but we have good examples and we have ambitions, we have plan, and we can preserve the water resources and the environment as well.
Definitely. And I mean, it's impressive, like you're doing all these capability buildings for the farmers and rectifying some of the misconception. And then they also, it's interesting to see that, you know, a lot of traditional farmers, they saw that they did realize that all their techniques were wrong, which sometimes can be a bit challenging.
This is the main challenge. We have the technology, we have the knowledge, but to have the farmer to be confident and to use and to rely on the technology, this is a very difficult part of the chain. And by equipping farmers and use model farmers and some extension farms, this is the main goal of our project, to have farmers transfer knowledge to their neighbors.
Definitely. So Dr. Eman, going back to the main topic, which is now related to the date crop. So based on now the video where you mentioned that you are rolling out, capability buildings about more advanced irrigation technologies. So can you let us know a little bit more about what are these emerging irrigation technologies that you are relying on, that are proven obviously to be more effective in terms of water conservation, and that can potentially support in maintaining the palm yield without, of course, impacting the environment negatively?
Let's start with a basic study we conducted in Saudi Arabia, where we have identified the major irrigation method most of farmers used to flood irrigation for date palm, and this is a tradition. Only groundwater is depleted, and they started to see saline water. And for example, Al-Ihsa, which is the biggest oasis in the world, started to deplete. The groundwater started to be more saline, so farmers started to realize a solution should be introduced to the oasis and also for the King of Saudi Arabia. We have introduced the new irrigation methods, which is subsurface irrigation and bubbler and dripper, as much as we can. we started also to use soil muncher and smart irrigation system, where farmers they are not need to irrigate when they have the soil is already munchered. We have also weather system and weather sensor. When we have some rains, the irrigation system is stopped automatically. Also, during our study, we realized that there is a big challenge in Saudi Arabia where most of farmers depend on workers. So workers used to irrigate and operate the irrigation systems themselves. But now using the smart system, the owner himself, the farmers themselves, they can control and monitor the irrigation using mobile phone. You know, Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest country depending on internet and using mobile application as same as all GCC countries. So having this advantage encourage farmer to like and to depend on the technology of smart irrigation and monitor the soil muncher and also monitor the irrigation. We introduced also new parts of the system, enable farmer to use filtration and to use fertilizers, liquid fertilizers, which support also the production and the production time.
Yeah, and I'm interested. Did you find some resistance from some farmers when implementing these
Sure,
specific
at the
irrigation models?
Yeah, at the beginning, most of farmers started to say, but we are irrigating with this traditional method since centuries. So now we are afraid about our production. And one farmers tell us who will pay the production loss in case of we have loss. But with demonstration in some extension farms where farmers started to adapt the technology themselves, they get confident. And each year at the harvesting season, we have gathering and we have farmers to come and see the change in the production and also talking to each other. What is the difference? Farmers started to talk themselves about saving in water, saving in energy, and also enhancement of the quality of the date bulb.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, from the video, is this rolled out in specific regions in Saudi or also as well in other parts of the GCC countries as well?
This program is implemented in Saudi Arabia, but it could be replicated. And now we are working with our colleague in FAO to have a regional program for most of GCC countries. As you know, FAO also have integrated programs for not only irrigation but also agricultural practices. So breeding and other practices related to crop production. So it will be part of a regional program for the GCC countries.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, to be rolled out in other markets and to have Saudi as a pilot test to get all the learnings. And
you know, the population growth and also the demand for irrigation and water in Saudi Arabia and sure all countries, the demand on crops and food security, should we have a broader plan and strategic plan to fulfill the food security with the limited water resources, especially under the climate change, as you know, and all of us see. We see the increase in temperature, we see how the weather became and the climate became difficult.
Absolutely. Dr. Eman, you touch upon here the irrigation methods and the advanced methodologies that you are rolling out. Obviously, other alternative water sources usually is when we talk about treated wastewater as one of the way as well to irrigate and to integrate in the date palm cultivation. Obviously, and especially that, you know, at a time when we have the challenge of the saline water, so how can we really take advantage of that, knowing also that there is regulatory perspective, there's still a lot of challenges in treated wastewater when it comes to food consumption and to growing crops.
Yeah.
So what's happening in here? What's the current situation? And what's happening also on a policy level to make sure that this can be advanced?
This is a very good question. Actually, as I'm representing FAO in King Saudi Arabia, we have started by piloting using the treated wastewater in date palm. So in Saudi Arabia, they have national program for using treated wastewater, and we have one of our demonstration site cultivating date palm using treated wastewater. Sure, we have monitoring program to assure the soil conditions and soil salinity, and we have to take care about the soil deterioration and take care about filtering system. Using treated wastewater is not easy and should combined with other precautions, but using this source in date palm is one of the agreed, because using treated wastewater in vegetables is not permitted,
Yeah.
but using in trees and especially in date palm is used in Saudi Arabia, and mixing treated wastewater with groundwater, especially saline one, is one of the alternative to solve the issue of the groundwater deterioration. Let's also talk about strategic initiative we did. We have irrigation code where we mentioned exactly how people can use the treated wastewater, especially in the food security production like date bulb. The irrigation practices. So the code is a good initiative. Talk about policy level, how people, companies, and also farmers could depend on this source of water.
That's impressive. Because I was under the impression that treated wastewater is not allowed for crops, but only for plants. But you're saying for date cultivation, currently this is a practice happening at the moment.
Because it's a treated water, and also they have monitoring program for the quality and to assure its suitability for certain crops.
And do you think that allowing the treated wastewater can go beyond crop date, can also be used for other types of crops?
Actually, for certain crops, and this is what is already mentioned in the code, which crop should be cultivated with treated wastewater and which not should be cultivated.
Yes. So we've touched upon a little bit about the irrigation method, advanced irrigation methods that you are as FAO launching to address the date cultivation, but also relying also on the treated wastewater as another alternative way. Now, another third approach as well is to also see the opportunity of hydroponic systems as part of the date cultivation. I see you nodding your head negatively.
Yes.
What's your intake on that? Is there an opportunity on that? Or, I mean, obviously the literature right now is very little around that, but what's the opportunity, especially for some controlled environment agriculture who may push or advocate for that approach as part of the date cultivation?
Actually, as you know, hydroponic technology is still for date palm as a research, and also at early stage of planting, and only just for researches and to identify different types, and maybe later could be used for transplanting. So, but for scaling up and for farms already existed, I guess it's still need to be more studied and more investigated by different organizations.
And the challenge will be mainly from what angle?
Yeah, as you know,
is it sustainability? Is it energy use?
Yeah, the area and the volume of the crop itself. So
yeah.
To have also the palm, it's long life crop. So this is the idea. So how we can grow the long and big such kind of crop trees in hydroponic environment is still to be invested, especially the economic and visibility.
Yes.
Yeah, at a research level and also at early stages before transplanting, it could be visible. But for the farming system itself, it still should be studied.
Definitely. Very clear. And so going now away from just the technologies and going now broader to the policy framework and what's really needed to address the date cultivation as a whole, not just at the Saudi level, at the GCC level, and potentially broader at the Arab region as a whole. So what could be some of the policy framework and reform you think are needed to be integrated today to really address and support the GCC in transitioning to a more sustainable way of cultivating date rather than have to wait for years until getting that?
So this is also a very good question. Actually, many countries so far providing farmers with groundwater without metering system. So introducing license for each well and account for the water production for each farm, and introducing monitoring system to monitor the consumption from date palm and assure certain amount of water to be allocated for each farm. It could be good to control the consumption in this production, especially most of oases depend on groundwater, which is fossil in most of countries, and especially under the climate change. So having a strategy related to, we are not talking about pricing, but just monitoring and restrict the amount. So it's not logic to have the traditional irrigation and the flood irrigation for date palm and under this very scarce condition.
Okay. So the focus should be for now monitoring
Yeah.
the water
Yeah.
part
Monitoring.
as a key policy and part of the governance around.
Yeah, and
the
also
cultivation.
as a FAO, we have a platform for water productivity monitoring, where we can monitor the consumption using satellite images, and this platform could support countries to control the consumption from groundwater especially.
And where are we right now on the status of these monitoring frameworks? That is a little bit, I'm not saying a mandatory approach, but to be rolled out in a way that most countries are compliant on that part.
Yeah, so far we are working with North African region and some Arab region, but still not applied in GCC countries, but we are working now to formulate a program for monitoring the water productivity. Let's talk it about water productivity because this very good expression to measure the production from each drop and to increase the production from each drop of water.
Okay. So water productivity as well
Yeah,
is a
as
key,
well.
a key criteria.
It's not only saving water, but we are talking about the productivity for each crop to increase the production and to assure the food security.
Definitely. And so moving to policy frameworks, what do you foresee as, or you already see some of the potential barriers, be it from technical perspective, economic perspective, cultural perspective, to ensure a wider adoption of all these water efficient farming practices when it comes to date cultivation?
Yeah, let's talk about several categories, starting from farmer acceptance.
Yeah.
So this is one of the key challenges. Acceptance, awareness for farmers. We have to work with farmers to increase their awareness about the water challenges. Some of them they already seen, but some others, they still see their traditional way. This is the only way to keep their production. So awareness. The second main challenge is the capacity. The capacity building and have irrigation cadre in several areas to introduce those innovative systems and to operate, maintain, and support farmer as well is a second challenge we have. And we started as well recently with Saudi Arabia to have a national capacity building training, and we have academy for an institute for water and irrigation, where we have vocational training for young people should support farmers in installing and operating and support them for maintenance. Also, there is the last barrier is the initial cost for implementation. Most of farmers feel reluctance because they have to pay, even at the start of modernize the farm, they have to pay. So I guess the government should look for incentives for farmers, and maybe could be a national program supporting farmers who are transforming from tradition to modern irrigation system, could be one of the motivation for farmers to adapt to those technologies.
So yeah, I think you addressed all the different barriers from cultural, economic, and capability building as well.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is the opportunity to really work on all of these three together, because none of them is more important than the
Yeah.
others. They all come in sort of synergy and in parallel as well.
It should be integrated, from different angles. So farmers itself, and we have also the government, and we have capacities and private sector as well. Very important part for having those innovative methods to be expanded and adapted to have the capacities for the private sector to enter this market and to avail extension center as well.
Yeah.
Support and maintenance for farmers. I guess it should be national programs for different countries, or maybe regional program for.
Absolutely. And I mean, also, I like what you mentioned, also the need of incentive for all these farmers to adopt all this latest technology, so that you really ensure a mass scale up of these technologies.
Yeah, it should be something like that, a center of excellency for modern irrigation system, especially for date palm, which is very important and very cultivated. In Saudi Arabia, the major crop is date palm, and I guess in all GCC countries as well.
Absolutely, and I believe also in Egypt as well, because they are a big exporter of.
Yeah, Egypt is the first country in
the
world.
Yes, that's why I wanted to mention it. I guess we focus definitely on the GCC region, but at the end, Egypt is #1 exporter of dates.
Egypt, because we have a lot of desert in Egypt and a lot of also sand areas where date palm is the good and the best crop to be cultivated. Date palm is one of the most tolerant crop, can be survive in drought conditions, and also tolerant to salinity some extent.
So how do you see, now that we touch upon the potential barriers that we may have, how can the region overall, the GCC region, balance preserving again the traditional heritage of the crops, part of our culture, our identity, our diet, our occasions of Ramadan, preserve the traditional heritage of date farming with the need for modern and smart agricultural practices? How do you see that?
Yeah, I guess we have to be moderate. So we have to perceive the tradition and the heritage for the date palm as one of the tradition crop, and introducing a modern irrigation system. For example, we can keep from the tradition agricultural practices spacing between trees, and we can keep the interplanting as well, because this is part of the culture farmers in the GCC countries. But for the irrigation part, we have to depend on modern technique. We shouldn't flood the ground, because as we can notice and see, soil started to be deteriorated, and flooding in this very critical climate condition causes salinity for the soil as well. Groundwater started to be depleted, introducing new water sources like treated wastewater and desalinated water as well. So mixing between tradition and new technologies to save the resources, the natural resources, both land and water, and keep our tradition as well.
Absolutely. And if I want to invite you, Dr. Eman, and also the audience, how do you see in 10 years from now, or 15 years, if we come back again and we have that same conversation, how would you describe the date cultivation that you would like to see in 15 years?
Yeah, in 15 years, I would like to come here and tell you at least 70% of farmers in GCC countries adapted modern irrigation. I cannot say 100%, but at least 70%, because we are talking about smallholder farmers. Not all of them are investors and have the capacity to change. But if we have 70%, I guess we will save a good amount of water, and also it could be reach up to 110 years after.
40 years.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. I really hope you enjoyed this very insightful conversation about the date. We touched upon briefly about the latest technologies that can be implemented and already are implemented, the potential likelihood of integrating other technologies that still need some research, some of the barriers that you are working on as POW to really address in a synergized manner, and also the future that you would like to see at date cultivation. So thank you so much, Dr. Iman. If you have any final word or thoughts for the audience.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me, and also I'm willing to answer any question I see.
We already see some questions, yes.
Okay.
We can give her the microphone, please. Maybe let's just...
I have one question regarding the irrigation of the palms using treated wastewater. As we know, this treated wastewater, however, there is several regulation and to detect the compliance of this wastewater. But still, this kind of wastewater carrying some resistant genes. These resistant genes can be transmitted to the final production of these dead palms. So is there any pilot study just to say if this kind of palms irrigated by treated wastewater carrying these resistant genes? Because recently we realized that even honey, which is the most product used for treatment of several diseases, for cosmetic, for treatment, carrying resistant genes, which is a surprise finding. So what about the dead palm?
Yeah.
Is there
So actually, I'm not sure about this study, but as an official by the government, they depend on treated wastewater. I will check and I will be happy to share with you some of the results because they have laboratories check for water and also for the production as well in many governmental model farms and also from the farmers already depend on treated wastewater. So just we can share and I will respond with you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. And this is really, it was a pleasure having you here and having you sharing your expertise on overall how to ensure sustainable farming practices.
Yes, thank you, Amira. It's my pleasure to be here and talk about this very important topic today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. Let's just please give a big round of applause to Dr. Iman.